Voices drift on winds untamed, words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel the sound. Journey where no bounds are found. Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan, and today, normally, my lovely co-host Sean, he would normally be here, but he had to attend to some family activities, so that's all right. Always family first, so go ahead and take care of your stuff there. But we couldn't cancel this conversation because this was one that we were really looking forward to, and he actually felt really bad for having to miss it and everything. Didn't want to have to cancel and reschedule and all that stuff, but we're excited, or I'm excited to have you here on the show. So if you could you let all of that's what we call our listeners, know about the Quirky Cosmo?
Oh, about me? Well, hi, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to dive in and expand in whatever directions like that the spirit leads us. I mean, I love our mystic backgrounds, by the way. I just have to say that.
Yes.
So synchronistic. So about me, well, I mean, I've been on my journey for about 10 years. Had a quickening pretty much like everybody else, just for me, it was out of the blue. And I started my journey with the Gene Keys and esotericism, Alice Bailey, Helena Blavatsky, which led me into Nikola Tesla's, the whole shebang. I went into Tesla's work, Walter Russell's work, and Rudolf Steiner. So I've studied under a lot of esotericists and mysticism and been initiated, through spirit into the higher awareness, through the divine light leading me every bit of the way. So it's been a heck of a challenge, but it's very rewarding in the sense of I have lots of fruit to bear.
Yeah, it really is cool, like being on this kind of journey. And we talk about it all the time, like all the wild synchronicities. And if this place really is just a physical realm, as a lot of people believe, whether they're atheists or religious or whatever, they think that this is just a physical realm and there's not really that much to it. I have a problem with that because there's a lot of synchronicities, a lot of dreams, like a lot of things that will happen in your life to where you feel like you're really on like the fool's journey in a sense, because it's like thing after thing after thing. And it's always like perfect timing. Sometimes it's perfect timing. Sometimes it's like trying to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit and it makes you scratch your head and, but that's part of the awesomeness of this journey. But have you, so I always like to ask everybody this, and especially somebody like yourself who's, claircognizant, you've been on this mystical journey here for quite a while. What do you feel about psychedelics, and have you ever partook?
I have partaken for sure. No shame in that. I actually, because I experienced a lot of SA as a child and when I was in the Navy as well. I started my adventure with microdosing with mushrooms in 2018. I started microdosing and to help heal from PTSD. And so, yes, I'm actually a believer in the mushroom magic and the fascia network and the beauty of the herbs that nature provides and helps us reconnect to our bodies, truly. So I've also tickled synthetics twice with the L, the N's, and the D.
Uh-huh.
And that was euphoric. I was so paranoid of the ocean. And yes, I live right by the ocean. I was paranoid. I also Florida is shark central. Okay. It's shark capital. And so of course there's a natural safety mechanism, right? So I never wanted to play in the ocean. I never went past my knees. My husband, my son, they'll go snorkeling out past the buoys. And I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, so I fondled with the LSD to break through some serious fears within myself. And I just frolicked and played in the water like that was a place for me to be, man. I was a mermaid reborn. So it opened me up. So for me, I'm not one to I've also used, well, it's not a psychedelic, but I'm not one to jump into the fire of ayahuasca. That's not something that I think that people should just jump into,
That
because
scares the shit out of me, dude.
it would literally push the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And I don't feel like that is a very healthy way. Like, it sends your body into shock. I'm not saying that LSD is a gateway, that they use that to open up the mind. It was very tested in the 70s, 60s and 70s. So, you know, it opens up. You do see a lot of different realms. Like, whenever you're in the mushroom, like, I like mushrooms. I was very fond of making mushroom tea and inviting people into that type of experience, shamanic, like a shamanic experience. As long as you're grounded and you're not going in there just like, you know, like it's a party drug. It's not a party drug. It is to help you open and expand, you know? And so, yeah, you see the world for what it is. So you're saying like, oh, you know, about the dream and in your dream state. This is the thing. When you're awake, like you and I right now, this right here, this is the dream.
Yes, it is. I
This
try
is
and
the
say
dream.
that. I try and say that all the time when people are always arguing about, is the earth flat? Is it a globe? I'm like, dude, it's a fucking dream. That's really all it is. Like, stop taking it so physically literal. Like, you know, whenever you go into, like, for example, whenever you do go to sleep at night, you go into a dream. Is that a round ball, or is that a flat plane, or is that some kind of matrix or a simulation? Like, it's probably leaning a little bit more towards like a matrix simulation dream type thing. And it does, like, it feels like that, you know, because if it really is just a realm of your mind, then how are you able to see things that are sometimes they're more real than this? Like, the colors are so much more vibrant and the feeling is just more encompassing and more intentional, you know, and that's
You're not limited to your senses. That's why, because when you're in the waking, like in your waking state, when we're in our waking state, we're limited to the five, six senses. Or the sixth sense is what's activated: intuition and the all-seeing eye, like your pineal pituitary, the piezoelectricity, and the third eye, right?
in the pineal
When
gland.
that's
Yeah.
awakened, then you do see things more vibrantly. But this is also like when people have a kiss of death, right? They have that near-death experience. They take like their life or the waking dream, they take it in instead of just it's a bypassing essentially. So when we're awake, our senses dull out. They're not enhanced. They're not vibratory because of all of the distractions and like all of the hustle and the responsibility that's heavy on our spirit. It's weighing us down. And so we're not viscerally experiencing the world to its fullest capacity. You know, we're dulled out here. This is not open. But when this is open, the heart is open. This is open. Your third eye is open. You're tasting all of the flavors. You're sensing, you're smelling, you're seeing everything more vibrantly. And in your dream, quote unquote, what they call the dream state, that's not even a dream. It's you're in the astral, you're in your natural state. And then we come back in and then we experience everything that's playing out within our genetics in this reality. And so, and then go back into I can talk about this for days, but with the flat earth, that is it's for mathematics. That's why it matters, and perceptual reality. So yeah, but here's the thing, in esotericism, it's known as a logos, the mind, the cosmic mind, because we're in Brahma, we're in the body of Christ. That's what the teaching is, the Corpus Christi. It's the body of Christ. We are in a cosmic being. And so when you're looking at flat or globe, the globe model was playing off a spherical, meaning that we work in spirit, which is the sphere. And then they took that and we made it literal, because everything that we're experiencing externally in this reality is a projection of the inversions that we have as truth. So what's truth in here is externalized as inversion, manipulation, lies, deceit, because we're living in the time of fear or Satan or materialism, right? So because we're experiencing the cosmic being's root chakra. It's our root chakra. So we have to go through all of the lies and the distortions and the corruption. So what is truth that we know within us, it gets inverted externally by evil. So what's good is always inverted by like lower man mind, which is the animalistic, primal, instinctual mind, the one that doesn't think for itself. It operates out of fear, and it's known as the profane, as the the ignorant, essentially. And so the person that is ignorant will take wise information, wisdom, and they will use it to profit, to manipulate, to control. Oh, I know this, so I can be the king, or I can be the overlord, and they represent that the old man, like not the old, like Cain and all that old man, but the old mind, the lower mind. And we had to go through all of these processes. It's like, because we're in a fucking giant dream. And the cosmic being is meeting itself layer by layer. And so each layer is a fucking chakra. As within, so without. As above, so below. And like, it's a planet. It was never called a planet. It was called a star. It's a wandering star. But the planet came in because it's a plane with a net of like influence. So my hands, I got to keep my hands down. I will throw out the energy fields. But it's a plane of influence, right? So just like an airplane, it flies over. It's called over the plane. It's a chakra, essentially.
Okay.
It's a chakra within a cosmic being. And this is the heart field, the magnetic field, where all is played out on the magnetic field. All is heart, all is love, and all is mind. The mind is perceiving through the experience, the expression on this electromagnetic field. And it's descending its frequency into its cells. And we are the cells, just like your cells listen to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other cells that get cancer, and then they start feeding on each other. Well, again, we see that out in the world, right? Gossip starts, and then more people start listening. Telephone happens, and all of a sudden the cells are against the other person's like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. Like, what is this? It's the bandwagon again. So again, we're living in this cosmic dream.
That's actually really interesting. There was I remember, I think we posted about a video that somebody did. It was like a conversation with an AI, like ChatGPT or something. And they said, all right, can you take Earth and zoom out, and then just keep on zooming out. And it goes into the cosmos and, into outer space. And then you're seeing all these different galaxies. Then you finally see the entire universe. And then they just kept on going. They said, zoom out again. And the more you zoom out, it was turning into like little atoms and cell structures. And it was everything that we're made up of. And so it really is like, it's really like a mind fuck if you really think about it, because you can't figure this stuff out logically. And like you were saying, the root chakra, the thing that really keeps us grounded, keeps us in that animalistic kind of mindset, fight or flight kind of deal. You got to do what you can to survive. And so many people have taken on that mentality. And I think that a lot of people are really waking up from it, because that like the better you treat yourself, the better you treat your mind, the better you treat other people, somehow the universe shifts and everybody is starting to kind of coincide with your vibe in a sense. And so I do believe that like the all is mind, and everything that is going on within us is also happening to the outside world. And, this was a really hard concept for me to even really understand and the reason why I asked you about the psychedelics is because I had done mushrooms, and I'd never done LSD, but I had done mushrooms, but I did try. So the guy that created LSD, like I can't remember what his name is, but that guy who created LSD, he went on to create like what they call designer drugs. And so there was this designer drug that came out 10, 15 years ago. It's called 4-ACO DMT. And it's basically a mixture. If you were to take DMT and mate it with mushrooms. So, mushrooms usually last like 7-8 hours. It's almost too damn long. And then you get all sick and your stomach gets a little queasy and everything, but you're still seeing all the vibrant colors. And if you take enough of them, you can talk to the fucking Elohim, right? And that heroic dosage that Terrence McKenna talks about.
Yeah.
And so...
Parents.
And I've taken like heroic dosages and stuff like that, and I've seen wild things like within my mind or this virtual reality that we live in, whatever it is. But it wasn't until that I tried 4-ACO DMT that started opening up a little bit more. Because what's really great about that, and I'm not like a spokesperson for it, it's just like one of my favorite things, because it only lasts like 3 hours and you don't get queasy, and there's just something about it that every time you try it, it's like nothing but good vibes. You can even go into it like distraught and like not terrified, don't go that far, but having a bad day, right? And then you take it, it's like, wow, it's amazing. You start to see like all the fractals and all the crazy colors that you would on mushrooms. And there was actually a time where I don't know what it was, but I got visited by this cat being lady, and it was so strange. And I don't really know what to do with that information, to be honest with you, because it was like she was here, but she wasn't at the same time. But I felt her, and it was like the wildest thing ever. And then, so I was like, okay, so there's definitely like some kind of layered reality that we're living in, and I just can't comprehend what's really going on.
Yeah, the reason why the mushrooms are beneficial and like synthetics are not is it's a bypass. So it's a spiritual bypassing. So there is a perk to the ayahuasca. It's like you're purifying out, because we have entities and attachments. So we call them parasites in the physical form. So people have parasites in the physical form. Okay. Right. The mushrooms go in there like the ayahuasca, and they push out, they eliminate the physical manifestation of the energetic entities and attachments and demons. And so when people do these journeys and they're seeing demons and they're seeing entities and aliens, what they call aliens is a new word for demon. So they're demons. Yeah.
Really?
Demons. Yes. And so they're
you mean like across the board, every alien is just a new word for demon?
Yes.
So whenever you say demon, do you mean it in the like biblical text demon, or are we talking about like demons of the Goetia, like different varieties, the Hindus and Vedics?
You have afflictions that are, those are like an emotional demonic attachment. So that's where you have the affliction of lust, of envy, of greed, of jealousy, okay, of separation, abandonment, depression. Those are afflictions, and those are an emotional or astral attachment, astral body attachment. And again, that connects into your sacral center, your sexual energy, your vitality, your chi, your creativity. And then you have demonic attachments, which are like jinns. Okay. And these are thought forms. So any thought that has ever, any incarnation, any of our root race incarnations, okay, in the mental plane, which is the solar plexus plane, okay? It connects to our solar plexus, but it was the creation, the fifth root race was the creation of the mental plane. That was after the fall of Atlantis. Atlantis was the heart field, or what is known as the causal plane. And that's when we lived in peace and harmony and telepathy, and there was no brokenness. There was group everything. Like it was interconnectedness, oneness within the totality of that root race. And then the cosmic being was like, all right, I'm going to go deeper and meet myself deeper. I'm going to crack the heart open, just like we go through loss and grief and heartbreak. It cracks its heart open. Atlantis falls. It starts to go into separation. And then it's reset after that deluge. There's multiple deluges, cataclysms, resets. Okay. And then it creates the fifth root race, which was the creation of the lower mind, which is the individual self. And this is where the cosmic being is experiencing itself, and all of these individual experiences. Like thinking in a in a group connection, you can't hide nothing from nobody. Like, yeah, man, I just whacked it in the bathroom. I'm not going to tell you. Oh, too bad, man. You can totally read my mind. I can't hide anything. Spirit's like, no. I'm going to go into where I can keep lies and secrets and hide things. I can do things in the dark and nobody else can read my mind. It's that. And that's where we see the Aryan root race, which it is the Hindu, it's the Turkey, it is the Sumers, the Sumerian, Göbekli Tepe. All of that was during the fifth root race. It's the longest creation, because we had to create and formulate the mind. Now within that is where this is where you see in the Bhagavad Gita, the story of Armageddon. Okay, this is where Arjuna and Krishna is fighting with his brother Arjuna. He's fighting with himself, his shadow selves, his mind, right? He's being overtaken by the demons and the angels. This is where you get the devas and or the dark and the light within yourself. You're fighting in your mind. Your mind becomes a battle zone. And that's what the Bhagavad Gita is about, is the battle of the mind, and so what is left from that, anything that wasn't processed, that stayed in the energy field known as the mental plane. And all these thought forms and all of these thoughts that are always, they're just floating. That's why they say your thoughts are not your own. And whatever you're a frequency attunement to, because you're an antenna, you're going to attach to these thoughts. So if you are having afflictions within your own like creative energy, lust, desire, natures, you'll draw in these entities. You'll attune to their despair. And since they're just living in the place where they're disembodied souls, they don't have a body anymore. So those are the fallen like creations. The abominations that couldn't take form, like they exist there. They're in the limbo states. These are called jinns. This is what the dark cabal and any inverted cult prays to, the jinn. And so what happened is, what a jinn is it's a conglomeration of negative thought forms. Like think of a cloud stored with a lot of dirty thoughts, right? A whole bunch of negative people getting together. And it forms together as one entity, one really powerful, strong. Now bow down to me, sacrifice your cows, sacrifice your daughters, sacrifice, give me more, give me more. I cannot live in a body. I have been disembodied from being able to be in a form. So I want to steal yours. I want your power. I want you to do what I want to do because I can't be there and I can't do it. Right? That's what it is. And so these are these are demons. Now, since we're living in the time of Satan and in the shadow realms and the dark shadows, we are projecting all of our fear, all of our demons into physical manifestation to face them, because your root chakra is physical. Okay. It deals with the physical. Mm-hmm. That's why it deals with Saturn, which is giving form. So Saturn is giving form to all of our fear so that we can face it in our dream world out here and wake up and go, oh my God, I can face this. No, I rebuke you. No, you're not real. I'm not going to give you my power. I'm not going to give you the light. But so many people believe in it because they're afflicted. They're still confused. They are expressing the cognitive dissonance. They've been through the programming and the brainwashing. So have I, but they haven't done the due diligence and met themselves. So when we do like psychedelics, like mushrooms or ayahuasca, that purge out your inner afflictions, whenever you fast, whenever you get your gut balanced, whenever you are astute and you study, and you do the inner work, the inner healing, you really meet yourself, then you don't have afflictions whenever you won't have these entities and attachments, and you won't have the parasites in the physical, and you won't have them in the spirit bodies either.
That actually makes a lot of sense because we actually had on one of our favorite people that we've had on here a few times, Lindsay from the Rogue Ways podcast. She actually has talked about, like, she dives into, all the ideas around cleansing the body and getting rid of parasites, and because she's had to deal with like a lot of body issues for a long time, and so she's been going into the holistic health and understanding it from kind of like a mystic type of mindset, right? Like that stepping away from big pharma and all that shit, which everybody should be doing anyway.
Right.
But she was talking about I guess there was this conference, and it was a conference on parasites, and there just so happened to be a cancer doctor that was out in the crowd at this conference, right? And so this guy, he's up on stage and he's talking about all the parasites and how to get rid of them, and he's zooming in on them, and he's like, look, this is just what it is. You need to try and purge of all these kinds of things, detox the body, maybe go fast or whatever, right? Eat more healthy, more vegetables, more fruits, all the things. And the cancer doctor was out there, and he went up to the guy after the show, and he was like, I can't help but notice that this looks a lot like a cancer cell. And he goes, and the parasite doctor, or parasite guy, I don't know if he was a doctor or whatever, but he goes, now you're catching on. And so it actually makes sense that the parasites would essentially start to form this sickness within you, and then it really just starts to take over your body. It's how a lot of people are dying. So in my opinion, yes, I believe that, like, I think it's really a lot of things. I think that it's, the poison in the air, poison in the water, poison in the food, but I think that it's more so than anything else, it's the poison in the information that we take in. That's really how, in my opinion, that is how, like, these parasites almost manifest. Because if you think about it, you watch a movie, you watching the news or something like that, and it puts you in some kind of low vibration, and then your mentality almost takes it on, right? Even if it's subconsciously. Now you're starting to embody the energy of the information that you just received, and now that just becomes part of what you believe moving forward, even if it's just the tiniest little bit. And so you keep yourself around, shows and movies and people like that, and, it's no wonder that all this kind of stuff is really manifesting, and why the cancer rate is higher now than it has ever been. Right? I mean, what would you say about that? Cancer and parasites? I mean, are they like what and what?
It's 100% connected. Like, but cancer is I don't want to get your podcast popped, especially.
Hey, it's free speech over here. You say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. Well, it's a form of depression. And so the body, like the cancer itself, everything that's manifesting in the body is already happening in the spirit bodies. So if you have parasitical thoughts or entities and attachments in your spirit bodies, then it begins to manifest in your physical body. So when you're talking about the poisoning of the air, that's the manifestation that the spirit bodies have been poisoned. The earth spirit bodies have been infiltrated by entities and attachments. And I just want to go backwards just a little bit here and touch on these what they look like. So you will find, if you do a Google research, well, not Google, but your search engine research, right?
DuckDuckGo, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go and look up the ancient Chinese, there's a book, and they drew out what these what the demons look like. And whenever you compare them and how they drew them as like blood-sucking, vampirous, they mimic what the actuality of a parasite looks like, the different types of parasites, whether it's the tape. You see them with like long wormy tails, it's the tapeworms, and the fluke liver parasites, and like all of these, the ones that get into your brain, you can see them like with the long tongue that goes up, and like it kind of reminds me of Venom's face, that's the one that goes into the brain, and it like attaches to the cerebral cortex, and so what they knew then, again, like back in our ancient our ancients, what we knew then, okay? We knew then is that we spoke in a language that would last throughout the ages and the eons and the resets, which is in hieroglyphic, which is in, pictures, right? When you see a picture of the crocodiles or the bird heads and things like, it wasn't necessarily that there was beings that walk the earth that were half human with a Jekyll's head.
Like Thoth.
No, right. Like these things represent, they had symbolism. There's depth to their expression. And again, that goes back to an energy signature, a frequency in which they carried. And since human are made of, they're made of mineral, vegetable, and animal, like, and then mind, which is the logos, right? Which is what we had to develop then that fifth root race to connect the logos, the higher frequencies, into a form, into a human expression. This Homo sapien expression that we're in right now. Anyways, and that goes back to like the root races and like the creation story. But I don't want to. I'm getting way too off topic here. But my point is we spoke in frequency, and frequency takes shape, not only in sacred geometry like you have on your hand, right? But also in shape in animals and in sound, like that we hear, and also in the shapes that the plants take, when they're developing from seed, and that frequency is connected to a wandering star or planet, and that planet has a net of influence, planet. So it's a plane of net of influence, and that these plants, they have a certain sound energy signature, right, which corresponds to the cymatic or the geometric shape in which it creates from the seed, and then the sound that it emits. And that sound connects to our organs, it connects to the nadis, it connects to and then this is why you use certain herbs or flowers or nuts or bark or saps from these trees, or the mycelium network, which connects straight into your fascia network. It mimics this. This is what Terrence McKenna was talking about. Man was a genius, and like his work on the I Ching is, which the I Ching is all about the elements. And so it's understanding the sound and the frequency of the elements, and how the animals and the plants and the minerals, which is the periodic table of elements, the minerals, the mineral compounds, how they influence and create, alchemize within our body, and how to assimilate it, and then how it plays out, because our body is, again, the mineral, the physical, the vegetable, the animal, and then the mind is like the spirit bodies that we operate through. But the lower, the animal, the plant, and the mineral kingdom, that's the fission and the fusion of the minerals within us, and the waters within us, and how it fizzes and fuses and create, like we manifest. So we spoke in symbolism and allegory and parable and imagery, so that we would remember the frequency or the sound
to be able to match up to it. Yeah.
Right. And that connects into, again, like why we, synthetics are not really the way to go, because you're, in a sense, you're spiritually bypassing. Like, yeah, it's great to see the wonderful colors. It's amazing. And I love that, because it does bring people, up out of depression. But guess what? That depression is going to come right back. Right. 3, 4, 5 days later, even stronger, because it even talks about in the Bible, it's like, you invite the spirits back in, you get rid of the spirits, you invite one back in, they come back 7 times stronger, because you're trying to bypass the pain, and the pain is the body saying, hey, sit down, shut the fuck up, listen to me, I'm trying to speak to you. I know you don't want to see what I'm going to show you because it's scary, it hurts, and you're going to have to take accountability. But here's the thing, as soon as you recognize what it is, and you sit there, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm still alive, I'm actually not a bad person, I did some shady shit, I was trying to survive, I hurt people, that was fucked up. The fact that I give a shit that I hurt somebody says that I'm not a bad person. The fact that I care, and so, it's gone.
So let me ask you this then. So because normally purging is something that happens mainly with ayahuasca, but you don't really get a whole lot of purging with mushrooms and DMT.
Yes,
so
yes, you do. You throw up, you shit, you throw up. It depends on how toxic your body is.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, because I mean, I've taken mushrooms a lot of times. It definitely does make you queasy. Like it feels like something is going on in your stomach, and you kind of feel a little offset a little bit. But as far as DMT, I actually did it, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, and I didn't get sick or anything from it. It literally, it felt like I was in a dream, you know, like I smoked it and I went and I saw some crazy shit, and I don't want to get into that, but it was pretty wild. And then you come back and I mean, actually did it twice in one night. The first time it was awesome. The second time was like a full on fucking nightmare. I went into the void. I thought I destroyed the world. And that was really messed up. And I've taken a lot of time since then. I did that back in October. I haven't done any psychedelics or anything because I've just been trying to understand what that vision really was, you know, embodying what it means to be inside of the void. And also, you know, after the fact, you know, coming to the realization that, well, everything wasn't destroyed because I was still there, and my awareness was still there in the void. So you can't destroy everything, and you can't even, like, it's impossible to witness nothing. You know, and that's what it really felt like. And so I've been trying to really break that all down and everything, but I didn't really get sick from that. It made me it put like a damper on my soul after that, but you know, it kind of made me sad and almost borderline depressed just because I was like embodying that nature of me destroying all of reality. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Didn't get sick though.
You would analyze that and you would say, like, what in me feels responsible for everything? Right. So the void, like you're saying that you went in there. Oh, I don't need to analyze you. Sorry.
Do it. Let's go.
No. So if you're going to go into the void, you know, it's a fear. Most people, like 99.99999% of people is a fear of death, the nothingness.
Right.
You know, even in the never ending story, the nothing, right? Everybody's like, get the horse out of get the horse. Don't leave the horse. Like, okay. Anyways, maybe it's just me and like, you know, a handful of other people crying. Anyways, no, not the nothing. Anyways.
That was like my favorite movie whenever I was a little kid. I don't even remember it. I literally watched it so many times I ran out the tape as a little kid, but it's been so long since I've seen it.
Rhyming, you know what I mean? Reeling it back up. Like, come on, man, come on.
Give me one more, baby. Come on.
You remember the old wind up for the VHS tapes? Like, it would have little plugs and you would put in there and you would wind it.
Yeah, I mean, we just rewound it in the VCR. I didn't have one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, my mom had a bunch of random stuff. Anyways, they also had another one for like the tapes and stuff. So anyways, a bunch of random things in my house that I grew up with. I'm sure other people out there have had them.
I love it.
Anyways, so now the heck I was talking about it. So the nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this fear of death, but death isn't real. It's a transcendence. Like we're facing our fear of this return. We don't want to return to source. The void is the womb of all of creation. The void is the center of the toroidal plane, the black sun that sits there in the center of the toroidal plane. And it's your umbilical cord, right? It's where we came from. And we don't want to go back. We're like, no, I don't want to. I'm so scared. I don't know what's there. I've been out here for so long. Like, I don't know what else exists, right?
Why would we be scared to go back to the source anyway? Is it just because we want to remain individuals, or what is that? Because we want control over our own life.
Yeah, it's control. It's the individuation. So when we come into oneness and out of separation or out of the individuation, then it's easier to be like, okay, there's nothing to fear. I never left the source. The source I was always in the source. I'm always there. I'm always in it. I just think that I'm separate from it. I think that I'm living in something, but I'm not.
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
Yeah, or the Maya, as they say.
Illusion.
Yeah. That's really something there too, because I tell you, whenever I was in that void, I felt like I was the only thing that existed. Like, and that's what really fucked me up, was that I was alone there. You know, I would much rather just join the source than be alone in the void, you know, at that point.
All one, alone.
You got to go with the sage talk here. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's man. So, all right, let me ask you this then. So, you were talking about basically how this reality actually is with the minerals, the vegetables, the animals, and that's really what incorporates our body. But how do you believe we got here?
Well, that's the creation story, the primordial creation story. So it's spoke of in many different lore, like Viking, the Greek, and the Hindu and the Christian. The Christian teachings, it's in the Old Testament. It's the genealogy of Adam, which is the Adam Kadmon, the spiritual Adam, the atomic atom that exists within the plasma fields, which is in our atmosphere. It's the above the thermosphere and above the mesosphere. Yeah, it's in the ionosphere, like above the thermosphere, right? So that's where the atomic like gaseous planes are at, and then that's where Lemuria, the third root race, was seeded. It's it's the etheric waters, not like the mermaid waters, like
Yeah.
And again, that's why you see it in the ancient. You can find it in some ancient texts, but you'll see a man holding two globes. One will say Atlantis, the other one will say Lemuria, and it's above his head, above man, and in a sphere, meaning spirit. So spheres represent spirit. Squares represent the form, the platonic solid, the cube. Okay, this is why you see the cube and it's square, like circle, like the circle being cubed, spirit being confined to a cube. So circles are spirit, right? It's why you draw a circle of salt around you whenever you want to keep the vampires out, right? Or think of the movie Practical Magic. They do a circle, right? Their brooms there and all this other stuff. Okay, so it represents spirit, the protection of spirit. It's real. It's legit though. That is legit.
All right.
Okay. All right. How was I going with this? So the teachings of the root races is the genealogy and the creation myth. So everything comes from the center of the toroidal field, the black sun, the inner sun. Okay. As within, so out, it is out externalized. Okay. In our hologram, what do we see? A sun and a moon. They're out here, they're externalized. We see stars, they're externalized. We see trees because they're in us. We're projecting everything. We're projecting everything.
Yes.
Okay. But what we don't see is our internal sun. We see the projection of it, but we know in us, there's a spark within us. They call it the spark, the eternal flame that burns. Like there's even temples built, and there's stories of Greek and Roman who would, the oracles would stand by and they would keep the flame alive. That's symbolic of keeping the wisdom of the primordial mother, the Shekinah, the life force, the Kundalini, it is life force or the Shekinah, and different. It's called different things in different teachings.
The chi,
even, right? To keep it alive, right? The oracles, those that held the wisdom, right, of the source. So it's about primordial creation, which is the black sun, creating form. And so it sends its energy out, which is the toroidal field. It sends its energy field out, and then it starts to create itself. So this is where you get primordial creation, when you hear about Nyx, and you hear, like, I'm going to use the Greek mythology. It's probably the most common one that's known by people. All right, so you're going to get Nyx, and then you're going to get her offspring, which, her children. Okay. And I have it written down all over here. I have it all written down.
Well, this actually reminds me of like if you look into like black holes and stuff like that, there's this thing called the event horizon, which is essentially it's the surface layer of a black hole. And that black hole, it actually shows everything that has ever existed on the surface of in that reality. Like everything that black hole allegedly has ever swallowed up or whatever, it all is being projected to the surface of the black hole, and that's called the event horizon. So it almost reminds reminds me of what you're talking about. You're saying that the black sun is within us, and that essentially our bodies and our minds and everything would be the event horizon of the black hole within us?
Yes. Black hole sun, won't you come wash away the pain? These are the frequencies that she sends out. So these colors, the auroras behind me, the colors aren't, they're stimulated. They're gases, they're noble gases or inert gases on the periodic table of elements. And they're stimulated by the plasma, okay? The cold plasma and the hot plasma. So the cold plasma is the moon and the hot plasma is the sun. Okay. But at night, the sun stimulates the gases that are in the atmosphere as well, but it looks like red. It's in oranges, and sometimes it's pinks, and sometimes, you get the yellow or the green in there and the mixtures. It just depends on how much inert gases are being released from the center of the toroidal field. And you see the green, well, at night, because it's the gases are being charged by cold plasma, right? And the gases that are being released that you're seeing in the upper atmosphere, if you will, the northern hemisphere, it's higher and out, like higher in energetics. It's pure as well. It's not as infiltrated it's not closer to the equator like I am down here in Florida. So you're further away from the sun's stimulants.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because essentially you're talking about the sun hot, the moon cold, and I have heard, I've actually talked about this quite a bit, about the moon possibly being like a cold source generator, because whenever you're out underneath the moonlight, it's cooler, and then you go into the moon shade, it's warmer. It's the exact opposite of the sun, right?
Right, and it's supposed to be. And the moon reflects how much, so the phases of the moon and what it's in, like full moon, half moon, quarter moon, all this, or quarter moon, half moon, all that's letting you know how much pure energy or gases are being released from the center of the toroidal field. That's how, so when we're in a full moon, we have more natural gases or inert gases that are being released. So it's lunacy, right? Because what do you do whenever your body, that's an antenna, is absorbing more noble gases, right? You're more stimulated. But if you're not grounded and you don't know how to deal with the energy, if you're not doing rituals, if you're not in dance, if you're not in connection, and if you're overloaded, you're overstimulated, you're overworked, and you have parasites and entities, attachments energetically and physically,
then the full moon's going to be a little bit too much for you.
Too much.
I gotcha. That actually does make a lot of sense. And this is something that I've talked about because we've had, magicians and sages and mystics and wizards and all the above on this show. Like, I love talking to people, all of that. And we've actually had guys that, they'll say that they perform rituals underneath a full moon. Some prefer it underneath a full moon. Some prefer it underneath a new moon. Some actually prefer it with a waxing or a waning moon. So it's always different. But if you're trying to perform, are you somebody that does rituals and stuff?
Not black magic.
No, not specifically any kind of magic, but just any kind of ritual, really.
Well, yeah, I shower, I brush my teeth. That's ritual.
Very well. Yeah. All right.
Anything with intention. So ritual is intention. That's what it is. And you can add context to it, movement, which is also intention. But movement, when you create shapes, okay, like while we dance, we see the indigenous that would dance in circles, right? Just around a fire. That's spirit. Okay.
I had to write that down. You said ritual is intention. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. I like it.
Yeah. Ritual is intention.
Gotcha. All right.
And you can add, other elements, whether it's fire, creative energy, water. This is communication. This is like this, the spirit is really going to be like the ether, calling the ether in, and you got to do a mixture of energies for that. And then there's also like the water element, which is about the emotions. And it's like, it also represents, crossing, it's a transformation. So if you're putting water out. We're transforming, we're adding energy into the water. We're using the water to add intention, which again is a transition from one space or one place to another. So I mean, ritual, like what we've, it's been demonized. Like I said, anything that is meant to be good by the lower profane man or woman, it will be used as a tool to manipulate for power and control.
100%. You know, I actually do past life regressions, you know, learned under the Dolores Cannon school and all that kind of stuff. And I can't tell you how many religious people think that it is satanic that I'm even hypnotizing somebody. I'm like, bro, this is a guided meditation. Like, just forget the whole hypnosis. I'm not inserting anything into your mind. I'm not suggesting anything. And that's just crazy that, you know, you would see something as simple as meditation, and yet there are religions out there that deem it almost demonic and like dark, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that.
They sit in the church and they sing together. That's a ritual. They're performing a ritual right there.
Oh, anybody that has ever been to a
Baptism.
Catholic, anybody who's ever been to a Catholic mass on a Sunday, oh my God, I went one time just to see, and I was like, wow, literally every step is a ritual. Every single part of it is ritualized. And so, yeah, I mean, rules for thee, not for me kind of thing.
But they don't know. Again, it's like their soul is, not everybody's meant to awaken. You know what I mean? Like, they're what we call NPCs. Just means that their soul hasn't had a quickening. You know, they haven't had a soul remembrance, and they may not be made to, because we don't know what karmic contract they came in here for. Some people, some essences are, oh, go ahead.
Why is it that you think that some people just don't find any of this kind of stuff interesting, such as enlightenment or trying to find a higher spiritual purpose? You know, whether they are religious or atheists or whatever, it's like for some reason they don't feel that pull. Like, so I know obviously there's a lot of people out there, and so I guess my question would be then, I don't know. I think that it's just because I feel like my entire life has been some kind of spiritual journey, and I can't imagine it not being. Like, I look at literally everything and I try and figure out what the spiritual meaning is behind it, right? Whether it be esoterically or whatever. Like, that's just how my mind has been, like, almost programmed at this point. But yet you see other people out there, and if you bring up any kind of synchronicities, it's just like, oh, it's coincidence. Not a big deal.
I would love to suggest to stop saying your mind and say it's your spirit, because your mind, if you will, it's more of your lower mind, and that's not the curious part of you. It's your spirit.
Yes,
that's sparking you.
Fully agree.
When you're talking about the search and the connection to everything, that's this mind. That's the divine mind. You know, it's not your lower, like.
No, I feel the same way. I just kind of use mind in like a general sense. But yeah, it just makes you wonder. So
here's the thing. We don't know everybody's karma.
That's true.
What they sold their soul out for in previous incarnations.
Yeah,
we're in the end times. So everybody has an opportunity for retribution, which means to get right. And a lot of souls are also here to be judged.
What do you mean by we're in the end times specifically?
The end of time? The end
of a cycle?
Consciousness? Yeah, the human evolution.
Oh.
We're done with the human evolution. We're going to move into the celestial. So, which is like the spirit. This goes back into the root races that we just jumped away from. But so the root races is the primordial creation. So primordial creation wanted to experience itself to the fullest, and so it created the builder races, the builder rays, or the builders, which are the Elohim, which are the cosmic rays. Okay, the seven rishi, the seven lampstands, the seven seals, whatever you want to call them. They are the seven stars of Ursa Major. And those are the cosmic rays that descended themselves, or the angels of light, the seven colors of the rainbow that descended themselves into the primordial energy and created the planets, or the wandering stars. They created the planets, which were the planes with nets of influence. These are the essences in which the logos could not fully experience itself through.
Are you getting into like the Pleiades,
Olympians.
like the Pleiades with the seven sisters and stuff like that?
Yeah, the Pleiades, in Sirius, all the star systems were created. Yes, that's part of the primordial creation.
Okay.
And then from that, the seven rays were descent. The Elohim, the seven builders, they descent their frequency. The seven colors of the rainbow descended in to create the Olympians. Okay, is what they're known as. And then you have the Olympians, which would be like representation of the zodiac. And then you have the Titans that came from that, the planets. So the star systems, primordial creation. Then you have the Olympians, and then you have the Titans that they created, which are the planets.
Okay. Yes. Following you.
And from the planets, then they started to create the root races, the Polarian, which is non-physical, the Hyperborean, which is, again, Hyperborean. This is where we see the semi-etheric, it is more etheric energy starting to take form, the gaseous planes, the atomic. So the Polarian is the crown chakra, or the exosphere, and the creation of the stars. Okay? And then you have Hyperborean, which is the creation of the atmosphere and the gases that started to come together. So essentially, it is the evolution theory story that they use. But we're not from fucking ape and primates, like in the way in which they tried to, like the Big Bang. You know, it's not a Big Bang just out of nowhere. There was a whole bunch of bazillion of years. I don't know, lots of,
Infinite amount of years, really.
So long it took to create this, right? This cosmic being wanting to experience itself. And then the Lemurian, which is the third root race, that was the creation of the atomic, or the spirit man in the atomic creation. So you have the crown, you have Hyperborean, then you have the atomic and the Lemurian, and that would be like the first expression, like of what you consider form, but it's not form. It is definitely semi-etheric and in the gaseous planes. And then you have the Atlantean, and then you have, which was like the creation of the heart chakra, or the causal plane. And then you have, which was form, but everybody connected as one, and the heart is one. What we say, it's all one, it's all connected. And again, then that was spirit, like, again, the cosmic creator, the primordial energy. If she's formlessness, she has to create something that creates form. And so she's creating all these structures through her imagination. And this is where you hear in the Gnostic story of Sophia and the fall and the demiurge that she creates, which is Saturn.
Okay, right? So yeah, this is all checking out. It actually kind of reminds me of something we talked about just a few months ago called, well, you're like familiar with Plato, and then everything that stemmed from Platonism, and now it's Neoplatonism and all that kind of stuff. But he was basically talking about how everything really is just an emanation from the original source, or the original one is what he talked about. So you would have the one, which would be the source, is what he was referring to, which would emanate onto the nous. The nous would emanate onto the world soul, and the world soul would emanate itself into the physical where we're at. Right. And so that, yeah, it kind of checks out with what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's the story of the primordial creation. So I'm just summarizing like multiple different esoteric teachings, or hidden teachings.
Yeah, I'm here for it. But just out of curiosity, I wanted to ask you. So, I mean, and I know that this is probably an impossible question to even answer, but what do you, whenever you think about, so there was that one divine source at first, and it felt lonely, then it started imagining and projecting and creating reality so that it wouldn't feel very lonely, and all that whole story. But why is it that there was only one source in the first place? And why do you think, like, how did that source even come about?
Oh, that's a good one. I wouldn't say it was lonely, though. I would say that it wanted to experience the fullness of itself. So imagination, you can be in it. Like this is like you think of yourself, like, oh, I really want to try that one day. You're having all these great ideas, and then you're like, I'm going to take initiative. I'm going to create it to be your podcast. Okay. So if we're living in a realm of infinite possibilities, right? It's just thought. All thing is thought. It's all formlessness. And then the hardest thing to create is form. And we're not alone, and it's not alone, and it's not alone. We're in a cosmic being. All is mind, but we're in a cosmic being.
So do you believe that we're in a cosmic being's mind then at that point?
No, we are the cosmic being's mind. We're in its body.
Oh, yes. Let's go. All right. I like it.
So think of the movie that came out. It didn't really do so great at the box office. What is it called? The Immortals, right? Do you remember that?
The Immortals. I thought you were referring to the Eternals.
Eternal. Thank you.
I love that movie. Yeah.
So, and you know how they're all pissed off in the end because they're like, wait a minute, we're just here to harvest. It doesn't matter. Like we've spent all this time, like, with humanity, and we're just taking this and that's it. Wait, we're just AI too, like the la, 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 right? The outrage of it. But these are for the cosmic beings. Yes, bitch. Yes, bitch. We're in a cosmic being, but we're not to identify with the individuated experience because we're in a much greater self.
Right. Yes, full on agree. So I've actually been watching like a lot of the government, military whistleblowers as far as aliens and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what to believe as far as that goes. I just kind of find it fascinating to see what they talk about. And there was this one guy, the most recent one, I can't remember, Matthew something. He was talking about how he had access to these invoices that he wasn't really supposed to see, and so then he became a whistleblower because it seemed like it was operating outside of the government, so he wanted to blare the whistle or whatever. And what he's saying is that he thinks that, as far as aliens or entities or the phenomena goes, he believes that some of them are here to help, some of them are almost harnessing and like farming our energy in a sense. And then you hear about like Bob Lazar, and Bob Lazar got access to some kind of papers that said that there is some kind of energy or non-human biological whatever that is out there that looks at us like we're containers. And he goes, I don't really know what that meant by containers of the soul or whatever, but what do you think about like a lot of these quote unquote government whistleblowers? You think they're all full of shit? Is it all manipulation, or you think there's something to it?
Well, it's a script for us to decode, truly. So if somebody is on the spiritual path, that means that the divine mother or source God creation is waking within you. It's quaking, it's waking a remembrance within you. And so what is played out on the world stage is the opportunity to take the inversion and grab the truth. What does it mean for me? Okay. So when we see the alien, all right, so God is real. God is real, Israel is the people, not the place, but the people. Israel is us because we are real. Okay, we feel we are real and we have integrity and a pure heart. So God is real, but it's an infinite intelligence that is within our blood. It's called the Shekinah. It is also known as the armor of God, the Song of Songs, the Song of Solomon that sings us along, that guides us and harmonizes us. That's why frequency, right? And when you sing in octaves, it lifts your spirit up, right? So God is an infinite intelligence of song and frequency. It's not some dude with a beard in the sky. Right? It is a primordial essence. It is the minerals, it's everything. God is in all.
Literally
right?
everything.
Everything. Even the abominations that we call alien or demons and aliens. Okay. They are just the lowest form. Like say you took a shit, you shit out your food that you digested. Okay, they are the shit that the cosmic being has already processed and digested, and now it's sitting at the bottom of the fucking outhouse, just creating soil.
Okay, but let's get into that for a second now, because I can get on board with if you're talking about gray aliens or reptilians, but then you start to get into like the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and all these different types of.
But they're not alien.
What are they?
That's interdimensional beings. That's a big difference.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah, I'm full on board here with you. So you believe that the physical entities are the abominations, whereas the ethereal entities are the helpers, the spirits, and stuff like that.
They're us. They're the multi-dimensional aspects of the one. They're us in the future. What we're experiencing the now.
Right.
The now. And so they're our future selves, what we as a collective human. So when we in the human, the light of mind, the lower mind, the creation of this form to house the logos. Okay. And then we evolve back into, because we're silica. We're 98% silica, junk DNA, non-codable DNA. It's silica, plasma DNA. We're ethereal. We are light bodies. We are the body of Christ. And once we ascend and reactivate our atomic, because we have atoms, trillions of them in our body, and when we turn the motherfuckers back on, we become supernovas of light and we return to the stars. So an interdimensional being are expressions of us as every evolutionary step of the celestial human, the angelic human evolution. Right now, we are in the lowest. We are finishing out the lower RBG, red, blue, green, 5 senses, platonic solids, carbon-based, 2% of the DNA, 2%. Spirit wanted to, God source wanted to experience its lowest density, its darkest, shadowiest self. So it's the mineral.
The farthest emanation from the source.
All this is emanation from the source, but it had to go deepest into itself. And it created us through the animal, the vegetable, and the mineral. It gave us its mind to form it all, fission and fusion, the atomic structure, the energetics, the primordial energy, the Shekinah, the Kundalini, the Chi, that in us to expand so that we could return back to its be twice born, the atom, the atomic consciousness, the spirit man. Okay. And then so what we have here in the physical are the shit, are the poo, are what have already been processed and no longer have anything to do but to decompose and feed the hose. Okay. I don't know, that just rhymes. So
it rhymed. It works though.
It works, right? And so, and that's, it is what it is. It's not like everything will just repurpose itself once it all goes supernova. Anyway, so then we, as the conscious, the cells, the soul, because that's what Atlantis, that's what the heart, that's what Earth, anagram heart represents, is the soul. And it's the Merkaba, the light body of the plane, the planet, the Gaia herself, the Earth herself is us. We are the soul. And so the reason why those NPCs haven't woke up, because they're not the fucking soul. They're not the soul.
Interesting.
They had a golden ticket. Everybody gets a golden ticket. You get it, and get it, and get it. And then they keep going, I'm going to cash that motherfucker in right now. I'm going to cash that in right now for some power, for some control, for some goodies, for some for whatever it is.
Yeah, I feel that
everything.
I feel that same exact way, because I always say that for the longest time, I'm 35 now, but I would say up until I was 26, 27, NPC like a motherfucker. Like I didn't question, I wasn't into, diving into the etheric and diving into the truth about what this reality, I didn't really question it or anything. But then there was just little breadcrumbs along the way that led me to this path. And so I do believe that people can evolve from their NPC form. I feel like that I did, in a sense.
100%. Same here. I didn't have my conscious awakening until I was 33. My mom was unalived. I lost my day spa, like my everything. By I mean, I had my awakening like after my mom was unalived. Oh, my mom left or transitioned. Um, like, but even then, like that wasn't what triggered me. Like I got a call from a medium out of like I didn't know what a medium was. I was a churchanese. I was a backwards Baptist, drinking and screwing on Saturdays and praying and smiling on Sundays. You know,
As one does.
I was 100% Matrix mayhem. And anyways, I got a call from a medium and that just like opened up the door for me. And I was like, what? Because my mom, she had things to tell me about my mom and all of the whole situation that played out there. Anyways, and so I walked outside. I told my husband, I was like, I just got a call from a medium. I was like, she just told me all this stuff. And I called my stepdad. I was like, Dad, did you sell the boat? Are you lying to me? Like, because my mom was supposed to be, my mother was helping us out financially with the day spa. And he's like, no, I didn't. 3 months later, come find out he did. And he took the money.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I was like, what the fuck? And then she invited me to one of these events that she was holding. And it was like I didn't know what the hell it was. I just know how to drive to Encinitas, California. And I showed up and she's like, okay, everybody get in a circle and you kumbaya and you sing and you dance and like you get in trance. And like all of a sudden my whole fucking life went upside down. And like, I had an awakening. And then I was like in there meditating, smoking some really good kush because I was in California. It was super legal over there. And I got high as a kite. And I'm like listening to this like meditation where I was going back into the womb and like into the mother. And I was like visualized super high. And I went in there and all of a sudden I had like a Kundalini experience. And then I started speaking in like 7 different languages. And I was like crying. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, honey. I was like, I'm speaking 7 different languages. I don't even know what they are. I think one of them is Arabic. I think it's Russian. I have no fucking idea. Light language was sound alchemy. It was my soul remembrance coming out of me. And it was insatiable. It was huge. And then I was talking to trees and I was able to read. So I got a deck card, a tarot deck, or it was an oracle deck, not a tarot deck. And I'm just flipping cards, talking to like my girls that worked. I had a day spa, the largest day spa in the state of California, size-wise. It was beautiful. I loved it while it lasted. Anyway, so I'm sitting outside with my girls under these oak trees on the side of my building. Mind you, I had made my salon on top of ancient Indian burial grounds, right behind a river. Like on the backside, there was a river that used to be a river. Now it's just a dried up canal. And there was this 1,000 Indian massacre there with the Spaniards and the Indians. And they had thrown the Spaniards threw all the bones into the river. Well, the river used to be bigger and it was under the fucking building that they had put up there. And nobody had ever built anything in that building. I designed it like on a paper and how I wanted it all designed. I made 1,000 square foot semicircle wall. I don't know how to say that, but it was 1,000 square foot for the childcare. And I made it a circle. Okay. I didn't know, had no idea. And then I had 2 pillars that were hexagrams, 5 sides each. It's where I wanted to put the salon. I could have made it a circle, but now, bitch, I made it a hexagram so I could put the mirrors on it. So I had 10 stations, 10 girls. Well, guess what? You have 2 fucking pillars next to each other. Guess what they create?
A portal?
Portal. And it was hexagram. And I'm sitting on top of Indian bones.
Damn.
It was.
That's next level.
But I didn't know any of this when I created it, when it all happened. And then I had this awakening. Anyways, I'm sitting outside and I'm one of my girls, she's from Mexico. And she was telling me about her story about how she was getting chased. And I was like, were you wearing a pink shirt and like tan shorts and white chanclas? And did you run into a hotel and there was like a revolving door, a spinning door, and a little old lady with white hair behind the desk and had like a lift up piece? How did you know? How did you know? And then like I sat down with her and I was like, she would tell me about her family and her husband's experience. And I was like, your uncle's house? And I was like, he had I was like, he took your husband into this. Anyways, so when somebody's talking to me and they're telling me truth, it'll show up visually in my mind. If somebody's lying to me, I won't get a visual for it. So that's how I know when somebody's lying and truth. So I have this ability to read other people's energy innately and talk telepathy to trees and to rocks and which aren't rocks, but anyways, and to birds and to everything. So my awakening was like, boom, all your clairs, boom, all your clairs. And I was like, I am not a quiet person. And I am the one that created this is when Facebook was cool, right? But I created the Facebook group for my entire fucking neighborhood, my suburban track home neighborhood. I held the bunko. We did we were the ones that were in charge of like I had a huge day spa and it was family oriented. And we lived in a military like suburban American neighborhood, like not even city, literally surrounded. Anyways, we were surrounded by, and so I had no problem. And my husband's backing me up and I'm talking about Arcturians. I'm talking about like the projections and the interdimensional beings that I was seeing like 16, almost 20 feet fucking tall outside of my window, my 2-story house, like in my backyard. I had just done some stupid noob ritual, not knowing, just like, oh, I'm gonna do the 13 tablets. I'm gonna fuck around with Thoth and the no, fucking idiot. No. Anyways, I called in some demonic spirits, and guess what direction my motherfucking life went?
To the shitter.
Ooh, it was not good. Not good. I got it. Oh man.
You gotta live and learn though, you know?
Bro, my awakening was intense. It was so intense, but it was good.
Well, you're talking about all of your clairs kind of came to you, and that's something that I feel like, you know, we try to work on through meditation and like, you know, going inward a little bit. And we've had like really, really awesome like clairvoyance and claircognizance come on the show in the past, and I mean, the most recent one was really wild because we actually had her on and she started to describe somebody, and my co-host Sean, he was like, oh my God, you're describing my stepdad like to a T. Like his stepdad had died just a couple of years ago. She described the scar on his chest and a bunch of other like wild spot on shit that could only be talking about him. Right. And I love that people can do that, but I want to be able to do it myself. So if you can figure that out, I mean, is it the best way to be able to try and just meditate on it? Like, what would you suggest?
Don't fucking meditate on it. No.
So what do you do? If you're trying to get somebody to open their...
You're there. Allow yourself to have it. These are the gifts. These are the supernatural abilities. They're called the vibhutis. They're called the siddhis. These are innate abilities. But the thing is, I have so much confidence. And also I had so much like pain and suffering as a kid. Like these were triggered. Like these abilities were honed as a kid because I had to, because I was raised in a very, 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 very toxic environment. Okay. I had a very toxic environment. So I had to hone these skills. You know, I had to trust these like intuitive, like hits. But if we just give ourselves permission, like to trust yourself, to trust what you're seeing. And the thing is like, you do this by allowing yourself to practice, to play. And you play with people that are honest, like that are curious, that aren't like, no, that isn't, I'm not thinking that. You know, your feelings are wrong. You're thinking wrong, who are lying to themselves. You can't play with somebody that's lying to themselves.
You can't wake up somebody who's pretending to be asleep, as they say.
They're not pretending, they are.
Oh, they're fooling themselves into it. Yeah.
They're perfectly content because they like their fear and their comfort. The devil's play is comfort. So the more comfort somebody's in, that is the devil at play right there. I'm not these spoiled, entitled children that like, they're just given everything and I'm living, look at my shoes, look at my car. My life is so great.
Fucking Nepo babies. Yeah.
You ain't got nothing. You got nothing. Your material is nothing. Because whenever you leave here, you got nothing. Because nothing goes with you when you leave. except for the lessons and the memories and like the moments that you have, because it's a fucking dream.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I love your energy and everything that you got. I got to ask you one more thing though.
Okay.
So, just out of curiosity, would you be open to reading my energy?
Well, in what way?
I don't know. Blow my mind.
Blow your mind. Well, you want to do?
Because I'm actually going through a bit of a transition in my life right now. And
yeah, let's do a drawing. So if you want me to do energy reading, I will draw.
All right.
Or I could pull up your chart and we can do a chart reading if you'd like that one. But that really gets into detail. And we can talk about your gene keys, your cities, your because where your planets are is where the day that you're born in true sidereal astrology, not tropical, because that deals with the wobble 23.5 degrees that doesn't actually exist. That is about moving the energy from the center of the toroidal field up the motherfucking Hara line to Polaris, which would be your crown chakra. Instead of having it connect to the crown chakra, right? They're having the energy connect 23.5 degrees off, or 4-5 degrees, which rounds up to 23.5, which is where the eye of the dragon or Draco, and the eye of Draco is Eltonin, which is the eye of the dragon, the red dragon.
That makes sense.
The red serpent. And that is where they get the black magic, or the Saturnian reptilian, or what they call reptilian, the red dragon Metatronic overlay, right? Where they do the brainwashing, where they do the mass energy harvesting from a timeline, which was over 2,000 years ago. Way over, like where they use fixed astrology.
Right.
Hey, Aries, it's always Aries. No, it's not, bitch. That's fixed. Nothing in this world is fixed except for Polaris. That's the only thing that's fixed is Polaris.
Yeah, I've actually looked pretty heavily into sidereal astrology. It makes the most sense over tropical. Tropical is more Western. That sidereal, it makes more sense because it's the sky as it is now. It's not the sky as it was 2,000-3,000 years ago.
Right.
And what's interesting is that whenever you like compare the tropical and the sidereal astrology, a lot of people's zodiac changes. Like for mine, so in tropical, I'm a Taurus. But in sidereal, I'm an Aries. And I kind of feel like, to be honest, Aries just makes more sense to me anyway, if I'm judging myself a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. My entire chart changed. And so same for me is like, oh, in tropical, you're a Sagittarius. And I'm like, or Sagittarius sun. And like, you're just had this free like life of happy-go-lucky. And I'm like, no, man, I feel more Scorpio than anything. Like I was raped by my dad. Like I don't know what you're talking about. I had like a free, like I was beaten and like abused and like saw all kinds of sadistic shit. I mean, I'm pretty Scorpio. I'm pretty sure I'm Scorpio. Like, I mean, if I use 13 sign, I'm a Scorpio or a 0 degree Ophiuchus. So right there if you use 13 sign, which I do use 13 sign
on the cusp.
But I do have 5 planets in my descendant, all in Sagittarius. So I do have a lot of optimism and higher mind. But yeah, I totally get you. And the Aries energy, of course, it's the Godhead. And like, it is about the exploration, and seeing things from this like vast perspective, like wanting to experience and know and take in all of these like, experiences and thoughts and seeking, right? And just having different connections with people, probably tripping over yourself and learning things the hard way, a couple times over. You know what I mean? Just rushing into shit too. But that's like that's the immature part of Aries, is just rush right in. But at the same time, it's like the guy that like, and it goes into the, like some people put their foot in the pool. I'm gonna put my foot in and just trap it. Aries like, the fuck out, cannonball. Like I'm just diving in, man. Fuck it. I don't need to know the instructions. I'll figure it out. Like
that is me to a T all day. Yeah.
Yeah. And Taurus is like, I don't want to move. I don't know.
And maybe that's who I was when I was an NPC. That makes a little bit more sense. So maybe it was kind of like that.
Coding. It is the NPC coding. That's what I call it. It's a matrix mind. It's your matrix mind. You're not your matrix mind. Get in alignment with your soul. Get in alignment to the now. It was, let's be in the now. Why the fuck are we using an astrology that doesn't exist? Why the fuck are we putting it? If we were if we had no electronics and we had to look at the stars and make a natal chart, we'd be looking at the fucking stars.
Exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't be going
The
off of
fuck?
something that was 2,000 years ago because you wouldn't have access to that information anyway.
Right. You'd have to look at the stars from the North Pole, and you'd have to do the measurements from there. You'd be looking at where the planets are from that point.
And also, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense as far as tropical because they're all like every constellation is exactly the same degree amount, right? Like they look at it as if the sky is equally divided in 12s, which it's really not. So sidereal makes a lot more sense because Virgo is way bigger than some of the other ones, and some of the other ones are smaller, and so it's sidereal makes the most sense if you're trying to get a true, astrological reading, in my opinion.
100% it does. But that's, again, you're not in cognitive dissonance, and they are. Again, you're not chasing the Joneses, and they are. They're trying to fit in, and you're not.
I'm just looking for the truth. I don't really care what's right or what's wrong. I just want to know what it really is. Like that's.
But they're not. They're content with making their money. They're sellouts. And
there are a lot of
propositioned with truth. No, that's going to infringe on my comfort. Go ahead and play, devil. But I'm going to say, not today, Satan. Not today, Satan. I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep popping my own ceiling.
I'm there with you. Yeah, I don't really care to follow what's popular or what's trendy or anything like that. Like, miss me with that shit. But yeah, it is wild. It is wild how so much of it is really a lie, and so many people are out there just parroting some bullshit that they heard from somebody else. In a sense, it's not even something that they discovered as truth for themselves, and it really, like, there's a lot of people out there that just blindly follow, and I'm like, I mean, I'm happy that you're interested in some form of spirituality, but it's go on your own path.
Right. Where do you feel that what I'm getting right now is like, well, you definitely have the Andromeda energy with you, like the bubbliness, the otherworldliness, So when we talk about the cosmic being and like the celestial bodies, these are the multidimensional aspects of ourselves. So if this is the earthly experience, then each one of the stars are a place or a dimension of the mind, because dimensions are in mind, densities are in the planes. So planes have density, not gravity, but density, the mineral in which it is created from. It's a density, right? And this is the carbon, which is the heaviest. It's the lead, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Right. And then the stars, which are in the firmament, right? But they are of you when you see them, right, from the real lens, not from the computer generated images of, well, this is the cosmos. No, bitch, it ain't the fucking cosmos.
It's a rippled light, really.
Right. They're cymatic. They're cymatic patterns, right? Mm-hmm. They're different colors, which is gases. The colors come from the gases and the pinks and the yellows. And it talks about it, with in old lore or even like Formahant and Regulus and Rigel and Andromeda and, Sirius, the blue star, right? It's blue. Okay. Well, it's cobalt. Okay. So that's that plane has a semi-etheric expression. And that's part of the cosmic trinity, which forms the stellar consciousness. It's like the portal into that. But that's where you have this the trinity, where it goes from the 1, the primordial, up to Polaris. It's from the 1 to the 3, which is Ursa Major, which surrounds Polaris. Like, think of the fucking horror line and the light coming out, and then you have Ursa Major that is protecting it and going circling around it. Okay, protecting it. It's Mama Bear. Okay, and it's the 7 rishis, and then you also have Sirius and Pleiades, or Pleiades and Sirius. So Ursa Major, the 7 stars of Ursa Major, the rishi, the husbands, divine will. That's why it's known as the husbands. Divine will and power. Okay. Cosmic divine will and power. Pleiades, the 7 sisters, the 7 wives of the rishi, if you want to look this up in the Hindu lore. All right. And that's love and wisdom, the motherly. Okay. So divine will, Ursa Major, and then Pleiades is love, wisdom. And then their child, which is the 3rd ray, cosmic 3rd ray, is active intelligence. It's the the child of Ursa Major, the seven Rishi and the seven wives, and they created Sirius. And Sirius is our fifth dimensional sun. Whereas you have Pleiades is the it's an eighth dimensional sun, or sixth and seventh dimensional sun, but it goes up into the eighth dimension. But anyways, that's the spiritual sun.
Okay.
So that's where and those three make up the cosmic triangle. So from the one to the Trinity, the mother, the father, or the father, the mother, and then the Holy Spirit is the child, which is Sirius. And that's why you see a lot of the Mayans and other talk about the Sirius connection, because it's active intelligence. And that's our fifth dimensional sun. And it's switching to the blue sun, the blue star Kachina. That's when we move into the fifth dimensional expression, or we're done with the human experiment, and we move into a celestial experience, and we switch suns. We're no longer governed by our local lower mind. It's been Christed, and it moves up, and we operate from the Sirius mind. And again, this happens in different epochs when it switches, and the hologram shifts
right
here. Okay. And then going into, where was I going with that? One to the three to the seven planets. Okay. And the seven planets, the chakras and energy. And then once we embody that, we go the seven to the three to the one, back to the source. And that's where we're at. It's going back to the source. So what the hell? Oh, I was talking about dimensions and densities. So different densities are the minerals in which the planes are operating from. Okay. And then the dimension is of the mind. And so but the cosmic mind, or the stellar logos, the stellar minds, they have planes of expression, and what we call experience. Whenever you go into another dream, it's another door into another dreamland. But it's not full of hell and damnation and war. It's the Star Wars. No, it was never fucking Star Wars. That was all here when they used the lasers and the frequency wars. They used sound and frequency to, like they did with Maui, like they did with California, and then what they did with Chicago, and burn the fires and burning down all of these buildings.
Direct energy weapons.
Yes, direct dues. Yes. Yeah, direct energy weapon. That's the Star Wars. They're burning down the star cities, the star forts of Tartaria. Those are that's what this extra, anyways. But it's manifested in our reality for us to see it.
Okay, yeah.
For us to know. But it's been turned into some Hollywood. But again, that everything in the external reality is speaking to us. Not everybody's going to make it. Not everybody's going to shift, and it's not meant to be. They sold their soul out. They chose that. God's judging. Their judgment is they disappear. When you play Fortnite, my kids play Fortnite, right? And they got a new season, right? They auto spawn into the new place, the new land, and they can't go back to the old land. Even if they liked it, that was their favorite one. Fuck this new one. I don't like it. I can't have this. I don't have that. Bitch, work up and you will. But either way, you can't go back. We're not going backwards. And not everybody's moving forward.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it definitely seems... It sucks that not everybody is going to... Whenever you say not everybody's going to make it, that kind of sucks though, doesn't it? That's what you want to say.
To begin with. Wake up. It's a dream. You wake up from a dream.
So whenever we do go into whatever is next right after that, it will be like waking up into another dream. Yes. Now, will it be waking up into another dream as a baby starting all over again? Or what do you think that looks like?
So when Alice woke up from the dream underneath the tree, right? She had all of her experience that she gained while she was in Wonderland.
Yes. That's all you need to know then.
All you need to know.
I love it. So you were talking about the energy, and you said something about Andromeda. What were you?
So you have the Andromedan energy, right? That's like an innate aspect to you, which is like this. It's this it's ethereal. It's non-physical, non-physical energy. And but it doesn't mean that they're the dreams that don't exist. Like there isn't experiences there. It's just a non-physical experience. It's an ethereal energy. And so that's when I was drawing you, I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to pull out from this? And it's like what I was getting from it was like this really watery, like otherworldly energy. So it's like I was saying earlier, like we're in a cosmic being, but the cosmic being, there's multiple, like the Eternals, right? There's multiple cosmic beings. Or even in the movie, it's another good one analogy to use is in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one where he meets his father, Ego.
Yeah.
Right. And his dad is like this, he's like, these are my creations.
Right. Well, that was in the second one.
Oh, second one. Okay.
Yeah.
These are my creations. Blah, 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 blah. But he gets destroyed because he didn't meet himself. So the reason why the cosmic being is going to meet itself, it's so it can create more worlds, which are what all the stars are, different worlds, and use parts of itself, the elements, all the minerals, because you don't actually have to have it. You just think about it and it is. And if you're that deeply connected to yourself, then you're able to instantaneously manifest. Example, I can sit by water because I've been in water. I've lived by the river. I know what it feels like. All I got to do is feel it and it's there. It's in me. I know it. So the cosmic being is going into the depths of itself to know the hell of itself so that it can create worlds, even more worlds, which already exist all around us in stars. They're already been created. We're just remembering. We're the cells and we're remembering and we're going back into these. But we're doing it in gradual layers because, it's the cosmic being remembering itself or recreating itself. Like you were already you're already everything that you are, but you weren't aware of it before, but now you become aware of it.
It's familiar. Yeah.
No. You are already, before you had your awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Awakening, right?
Yeah.
You're already who you are. Everything was already in you.
Yes.
Those memories just started remembering, and it plays out step by step by step, person by person, by experience, by conversation. Okay. Because everything's already within you. It's already in your DNA. It just had a quickening. It had an awakening.
I see what you're saying.
Remembering.
No, I was saying that whenever I eventually did have a spiritual awakening, it didn't happen all at once for me. It was like very gradual over like the last 7-8 years. But whenever, now it feels like this remembering, it feels familiar is really what I was trying to say. Is like, it's not foreign. It's not alien. It's like I've done this before in some other context that I don't know how. It's almost like deja vu. Like how did I already see this? How did I already know it? Why does it feel so familiar already, kind of thing,
Yeah, because it's already been done. And the stars are the cosmic beings. It's already been done. We're in the part of the cosmic being where it's in its past. The shadows are its past. The stars are its future. And we're the medium, the transistors, which is a medium. We're the medium through which its memory moves, which is its energy, moves through. Okay.
All right.
You getting that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so when we're talking about, like, I was using Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Thank you for correcting me. But what it was showing us is that had the cosmic being not met itself, it would have imploded. So going rainbow body or body of glory, when you see Hindus and they turn to ash and dust, they self-imploded. They didn't do it the right way. Ascension is you take the body, you activate the gaseous planes, you transfigure. You don't leave hair and nails and skin behind. You become a translucent essence, an emanation.
The transmutation.
You're already light. Right. So you just activate more light. It's not like you like turn nude and like, no. So anyways, it's a self-implosion. It's like force. I'm trying to force this. I'm going to force this. No, you're going to blow up. So the cosmic being went all the way down. We're the cells that said, hey, I'll volunteer to go all the way down back in there. I'm gonna go all the way down there with you, God, source, spirit. I'm gonna Hail Mary when I'm in there too, and you're gonna come get me the fuck out, right? You're gonna wake me up, right? You're gonna make me remember that I'm diving deep for you, so that when it goes and creates all of these other realms of itself, worlds, they don't implode.
So it has to know the bottom of the barrel depths of which it is made up of in order to be able to expand itself and take that experience and apply it to that.
Absolutely. And make the other realms even better, because now it has integrated, like you, spiritually. When you integrate your spiritual, emotional, and mental, you are a fully mature adult. You're not irrational, you're not erratic, you don't make dumb decisions, you're not swayed by temptations, right? You're like, you know what? The old me would have, but not now. I know what I got and I appreciate it,
Old me would have definitely fallen into the hole several times.
Right. And the same thing with the cosmic thing. It's becoming spiritually, emotionally, and mentally mature. And so it's going to party with other cosmic beings because it's not alone. And it has an etheric body.
That is so wild to even picture that we're living inside of a cosmic being. Like that is, I mean, you absolutely 100% not believe it, but you know it to be true.
I know me.
I love it. Well, look, towards the end of the show, we always like to do a tarot reading. Normally, Sean is the one that pulls the tarot cards, but I ended up pulling one this time. And this is actually a very special tarot deck to me. I actually just got it mailed to me. So for Christmas, what I did was because my mom is actually the one that got me into like the witchy, spiritual, loving Halloween and all that other fun jazz. She got me really into that, which kind of led me to discovering a lot of other wild spiritual stuff, right? And so for Christmas, I bought her this tarot deck that you can color, right? And I wasn't, I was just like, look, I think that you should have your own tarot deck. This is something that I have like 8 or 9 decks over here. I want you to have one. And she's very artistic and she loves coloring and all that and drawing. And so I was like, I'm going to get you a coloring one that you can color yourself. And so she colors it and she works on it literally from Christmas until just a couple weeks ago. And then I receive, because my birthday was May 8th. So it was just like a week ago, something like that.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. And so for my birthday, she sent me like the fully colored in tarot deck. And so, it's a nice little, it's like her energy is in it too. But anyway, I just pulled this one and it is the 4 of Wands. And I'm not somebody that I can't just look at a card and know what it means. I know that there's there's obviously the symbols in it and stuff like that. But I have this little book here that I actually like to read from. And so the 4 of Wands, it says, celebrate your achievements with the ones you love before pushing ahead to the next goal. Enjoyment and celebration abound in the 4 of Wands card. The beautiful floral canopy that resembles a traditional Jewish kuppah, signifying marriage, is being held up by the 4 of Wands firmly rooted in the ground. The yellow background of the card indicates conscious awareness and joy as the couple celebrates their union by waving floral bouquets in the air enthusiastically. They have made the choice to unite in commitment to creating something stable and long-lasting. Behind the couple stands a glorious castle with people dancing joyfully in a lush garden, celebrating their abundance and prosperity. That is a great card to have, especially it just speaks to the soul, like whenever you just do like a little one card, just a little something. I love that, but I like reading the personal / spiritual meaning behind it too. But it says, you're savoring the process of putting down roots, either buying or renovating a home, joining a group, or taking a relationship to the next level. Celebrate the joy and excitement of these milestone moments. Should the opportunity arise, go ahead and pour your excitement into a creative project. Spending time with family and friends, throwing a party, or taking a break to rejuvenate is beneficial for your spirit. Wow. Great card. That's a happy card. And even if that card is reversed, it's still a good thing. So that's how you know it's like through and through a good card.
A good card. Well, it's spirit, and it's a 4, which is like foundations and structure, and that castle is about like achieving the holy of holies, or like you've reached the kingdom within. Like it is about walking into the kingdom, and you've yoked the masculine, the feminine, that holy union within you. and now you've reached the kingdom, or what we, the higher consciousness, and it's like a welcoming party into that, like spirit welcoming, walking with spirit into your new royal abundance. You've been anointed, you've been blessed, and now you're in your dharma. And it is a very abundant card. I love that card.
Oh my God, that straight up speaks to my life. I hope that it pertains to a lot of the listeners here, and even you. Like I that is such a good omen kind of card, I think.
It is. I mean, come on. When somebody has this when we have this kind of awareness in life, like I'm a mirror neuron, fucking mirror neurons, right? We're mirror neurons. And like, if I have attained this level of fucking awareness, like what the fuck ripple effect does this do? What does this show us? Like, it's not even me, but it is. I'm the expression of it. I'll own it. I like it, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's not just me. I know I'm not alone. I'm all one. Like, fuck yeah. So yeah, we're walking into our royalty. We have turned the motherfucking wheel. We're going in the new direction. We're in the mystery van. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Scooby, get in. I got the snacks. Let's celebrate this bitch. Drive it up in it. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Yeah, it definitely feels that way. It's almost like, whenever you start talking about this, especially on a podcast or on social media or anything like that, it's almost like the energy within you, the excitement and the knowledge that you're sharing and the wisdom and all that kind of stuff, it's almost emanating from you, and it's kind of shedding light onto a lot of people that didn't really know about a lot of concepts. And that's what we do on this show. We never say that we're like the masters or the knowers of all information. A lot of the times that we're shooting an episode, a lot of the times it's a concept that we don't know, and we want to do the show to learn ourselves. And it's kind of like, the students are running the classroom kind of deal. And so, we've covered a lot of things, and we've learned a lot of things. We've grown in every single way along the way. We've been doing the show for almost 2 years now. And all the amazing people that we've met on this journey. I mean, it's just like me and Sean, we're on the fool's journey. Here we are. Here's the high priestess right here, right? Or, something like that. And I love every single step along the journey. But if anybody wants to be able to find you, how would they go about doing so?
Yeah, I mean, they can go to quirkycosmo.com, my website. Or they can go to my link tree on my, on Instagram or TikTok. I mean, I've gone viral on TikTok though, just recently. So you might actually just come across my video if you have TikTok.
That's how I found you.
Oh, you did? Is that where you found me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, that was unexpected, but whatever. Spirit's like, you're not going to hide anymore. And I was like, fine, I'm coming to my cage. But anyways, yeah, you can go to TikTok. You can find me at Quirky Cosmo. Quirky Cosmo across the board, just not on Facebook because I don't give a front door about the face of books, but
yeah, same thing.
Go Instagram, but mainly I'm mainly on TikTok. I also have a YouTube, but if you want to book a session with me, and we didn't even talk about the gene keys or any of that stuff, but that's where I do my life coaching, and I work with people and their blueprinting. I do cosmic blueprinting. That's what I was going to do with you, but just kept talking, and that's great. I love it. I was having so much fun playing, and maybe there'll be another time when we can sit down and we just get a little pokey poke with
we're definitely doing it again. Usually whenever we get somebody on for the first time on the show, it's kind of like an overview of all that is you and all the information that you have to share with everybody else. And it's like the shows that are after that, it's more like, all right, let's stay on a topic. Let's really learn about it. So what was it, the keys that you talked about?
Oh, I work with the gene keys and true sidereal astrology. So yeah, the gene keys are the 64 codons or 64 codes of human consciousness. It's a spectrum of human consciousness, really the human conditioning. It's based off the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching, the minerals, the elements. And it's also, connects with the human design, which I don't really like human design, but whatever, it connects with human design. And it's really a mystic path into yourself. And the way that I'm able to sync and connect, since I've worked with it for almost a decade now, and I have an amazing ability to synthesize things, to just, that's my creative, I use sound effects. But anyways, I'm able to synthesize and really bring into awareness, like your gifts, and also the things that you're needing to work on, and I use the gene keys as pinpoints, because these are the cities. It also the shadow of the gift, but the cities are the natural state of human consciousness. And so I really help people to focus on the cities and the gifts and embracing the shadow aspects of them that they need to work on, because that's how they unlock all of this, the acidic frequencies, the booties, the superpowers that you're so saying. It's through trust, and I play and I expand and ignite people's days. So we'll definitely have to focus in on that.
100%. Yes, I love everything that you just said. I mean, some of the stuff that I'm hearing for the first time, and I love that. I love just like uncovering new topics and new sources and new perspectives on everything. So definitely would love to have you back on. I know that my cousin Sean is going to love you as well. So it's going to be a fascinating conversation. We're definitely going to do it again pretty soon. Perfect. I would imagine. But yeah, with that being said, if the quirky Cosmo came here and she taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird. This is where Sean would say,
stay weird.
Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
all right, the one out there. What did you think about that meditation? My God. So many things that were running through my mind in that. It's a strange sensation whenever you're like embodying that 963 hertz, how they call it, like a God frequency, because it really does kind of give you that notion that, you're the manifester, you're the creator in a sense, and, that you're not just an individual, but you kind of have like a magical type of say-so, and your emotion and subconscious, all of it plays into creating and manifesting your own reality. I think that's probably why it's so important to pay attention to your thoughts, because we do create our own reality in a sense, and maybe not even in a sense, maybe wholly, So that's probably why it's so important to pay attention to your thoughts, because you might go around, fuck up, and manifest something that you were thinking about. And sometimes it's intentional, and sometimes it's unintentional. For the people that don't believe in manifestation, it's always going to be unintentional. So therefore, you're not really aware of your thoughts. And if you're not aware of your thoughts, then you don't really have a good understanding of the percussion of those thoughts. Percussion, is that the right word? Anyway, the reality that manifests those thoughts in general. So yeah, I think it's pretty important to start monitoring your thoughts, because manifestation is absolutely real, and the universe, it shines off of you. It creates by the emanation from you, in a sense. And that's not for the whole world. I'm talking about for you in your own daily life. You're the one that is out there creating something for you. Whatever you're manifesting, doesn't have to be for the entire world. Why do you don't worry about the entire world. You're not going to manifest, world peace or anything like that. Maybe you as an individual incorporating the vibration of peace, maybe that's going to help it a couple of percent or something like that. But this is a personal journey. It's a personal journey to get closer to the all, the one, God, universe, you name it, whatever your name for it is. It's a journey to get back to that. And it's not that we ever really left. It's just that we almost just forgot what it was. And then whenever you start getting little hints of it, it's like those little hints are little subtle reminders from the one that, that the one or God or the universe never really left you. It's just that you forgot. And so now it's a whole remembering thing. And, how do you go about trying to remember what it's like to be, incorporated into the one, into the all? Well, I would say that probably does happen with synchronicity. That probably does happen with just being more aware and being more aware of your thoughts and doing everything intentionally, as much as you can intentionally, right? Stop paying attention to every single thought that enters your mind as if it's you, because it's not. It's just shit that's in the ether, shit that's in the astral. It's just floating around. It's like I always say, it's the car going down the street. You want to pay attention to it, you can. You don't have to. I think that's really, they're all just, a thought is just a suggestion. And whenever I say that, it's a suggestion specifically to you and it's based upon not what you believe, but it's how you react to that thought. What manifests within you, within your energy, whenever you have a specific thought. And if you stumble across something that you don't like, like you turn on the news and you see a million things a day. The news never reports anything positive, right? It's never like, oh yeah, we're going to celebrate this, because nobody's going to tune into that. The lower minded people are in that animalistic fight or flight type of situation. So they're always worried about what to be worried about kind of thing. And I think you need a little bit of aspect of that, but don't make that your entire life. But yeah, I felt like I was in a sense in the primordial waters in that meditation. Very interesting. I felt like I almost saw like the moonlight glimmering off of the water. Very odd, but it wasn't like moonlight. I live in Texas, so I love going to Galveston and seeing the beach there, and the Gulf of America. Like going down there, it's awesome. And it's not like the water that's shining off of that. It was stranger. It was like more lucid and more etheric almost. And it was almost like a dark night of the soul in a sense, not necessarily even in a bad way, but almost being one with that. As she said, it's not alone, it's all one, right? So be all one, don't be alone. So yeah, it's interesting. Whenever you're in that meditation, you feel like you understand how manifestation works just by listening to a frequency. That's crazy. It's like, can't you just incorporate that all the time? Well, you don't need to manifest all the time, I mean, as a matter of fact, all the manifestation is just, you can't bring it with you. And that's the thing about this material reality. Everybody gets so caught up in the material reality of everything. I want the hot wife, or I want the hot husband, or I want the awesome job. I want the big house. Always worried about what they can physically manifest. That's not what I'm after. I'm after what can I spiritually manifest? What can I spiritually encompass within myself to where if a bad thought does arrive, or if a bad thing does happen to me, I want to make it to where these things don't bother me anymore. I just see it as part of the plan. I see it as part of the path. And it's up to me on how I react to it, and there's nothing wrong with being sad or angry or anything like that, but it's just about not giving to the suggestions of this physical world. Because this physical world will definitely nudge you in some ways. But the thing is, as far as manifestation goes, get out of the material mind. And that's something that I've learned, is to try and get out of, because there's always something better. You get a hot wife, you can always get a hotter one. You get a nice house, you can always get a nicer one. You get a good job, you can always have something nicer. So there's always something better materially, right? And even the things that are, top tier, best option for somebody isn't always going to be the same for the next person. So as far as manifestation goes, that's what I would focus on, is trying to incorporate and trying to encompass the higher mind more often. That's what I would like to manifest, to be inside of that higher mind as often as humanly possible. Because whenever you get there, the little things in life, the bad things, the okay things, the so-so things, even the good things, even the things that you like, oh man, I don't even deserve this. This is so awesome. See, now you're manifesting the energy of not being whole. So it's really a game, if you think about it. It's not a fun game to play, especially if you're somebody who is always like I have that mind, like I just always want to one-up myself. I was raised in sports. I was always raised to compete. And so even internally, all the time, I'm just competing with my own self, which who cares? Why do we put that pressure on ourselves? If you can incorporate that 963 hertz God frequency, probably wouldn't matter. But that's the reality we live in. So, we want to manifest nice things and nice relationships and all that fun jazz. You just got to make sure, what's the pecking order? because you don't want to set aside your peace or your patience or your comfort, or, well, she just talked about comfort. It's like devil's playground, so I'm not going to go there. But you don't want to set aside your peace for really anything. That's the most important thing, is to not let anybody get a reaction out of you. And actually, what's even more important out of that is, like, don't even let yourself get a reaction out of you. Because we talk shit on ourselves more than anybody else. If we would say literally 1% of the negative things that we say to ourselves to anybody else, there's going to be some hands thrown, right? You don't need that. So why would you do it to yourself? Doesn't mean that you can't, hone in on the craft and make yourself a little bit better at whatever it is that you're working on. But anyway, all right, now I'm rambling. Anyhow, the one out there, thank you for listening. This was an awesome episode. If you would, go check her out. She was great. Loved that energy. Loved all the wild shit she was saying. She was great. So yeah, we'll definitely be having her back on. But I guess until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Voices drift on winds untamed. Words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel